Are gold and silver showing good signs? Here's your weekly precious metals price update and analysis brought to you by Ainslie Bullion and the Gold and Silver Standard. My name's Joe. Use the time codes below to go to your favorite metal. We'll do gold, then silver. We'll take a quick look at platinum and for the first time, I believe on the channel, palladium as well. Here is gold using the tradingview.com website. It's priced in US dollars, 1,962 roughly right now, and this is the weekly time frame. Quickly checking what we talked about last week, we're hovering around about 1,970. We're talking about this level of 1,960 being a level we really needed to see hold, and if we didn't, then we would have seen a move further downward. And I had this Fibonacci line right here. It was around about 1,925 US dollars, which would be the big line in the sand for me. If we didn't hold here at least on the weekly time frame, then I would have said, uh-oh, we're heading down even further. So let's see what happens. So we'll pop on our indicators right here and let's just punch in to the daily. So you can see that area that I have drawn right there with a little green circle. That was that $1,925 area, and in the last week we certainly did break through the 1960 area and it was a quick move down to around about that 1925 area. Technically, I think on this particular index, 1928, 1930 roughly. But the good sign is it has held as support so far, and we also moved right back up to end yesterday's price. We closed at above that 1,960 area, currently above it at the moment. So good sign so far for gold. On the daily time frame, you can see that we've moved a little bit to under the halfway mark on the relative strength index on the daily time frame. Are still trending down. Just watch this little area right here. Is this the flick back up that brings us back up? But also take into account the weekly time frames, probably more important. I'll actually now get rid of that little green circle so you can see that better. Right here on the weekly relative strength index, we had that move above the average, that big move here from the false breakdown at 1,810 all the way back up to now that's become a specific downtrend line. We failed to hold that $2,000 level. We did expect that to be a fast move if we failed to hold that level. And we did move above this average, and then we've since come back to test it, and we've bounced off it so far. So that's my second good sign so far for gold. And my other sort of big, more macro good sign for gold is the fact that we've talked about it quite a lot, that triple tops aren't usually a thing. So top here, double top, big, long, extended move. Triple tops can happen, but you don't generally have a long move or a very huge downward move in a triple top. So triple tops usually aren't a thing. So I'm also confident it's a good sign that we have bounced off that 1810 level. That was a really good sign for me. But the interim good sign is that at least on the weekly time frame, we've bounced up so far, holding above that 1960 area. Really need to see that absolutely hold 1960 for me, close above that for this week's trading. And then I'd be more confident to say we're going to be knocking on this door sooner rather than later, this downtrend line. So of course, if you're new to the channel, welcome. We've had a whole bunch of new subscribers in the last couple of weeks. We've hit over 4,000 subscribers now, about 4,020, 4,070 roughly, whole bunch of new subscribers. If you're watching these for the very first time, what we've been talking about is this level here of that $2,000 level. It has to hold, and particularly this has to be broken and held above now, at least on the weekly time frame, preferably on the monthly time frame, in order for us to say we are absolutely going to be smashing the all-time highs in the coming weeks and months. But for me, the interim good little sign for gold is we did find support here at that 1925 Fibonacci level, roughly. So that is the good sign for gold. Obviously, if we break down from here in the next couple of weeks. If it's a few red weeks, then I would be expecting this level, and I'll pop it in right here if you can see it. I'd be wanting this level right here to hold, and that's around about 1880 to 1890. I'll pop that in right now, and I'll keep that in until next week. You'd want to see that hold absolutely. You can see a level of support there, a level of support there. If that fails to hold, then we're heading back into this area here. But look, so far so good. Good signs for gold at the moment. Let's see where the market takes us in the next week. That is the good sign for gold. Let's do the good sign for silver. Silver's actually outperformed gold in the last week or so. Silver, I should say, has been the winner in the last week or so. So you can see we had a move above this downtrend line. Again, when this is going up, gold is outperforming silver. When this is going down, silver is outperforming gold. We had a move above this line, and instead of it being a test, a retest, it looks like we've broken through. So could this be silver's time to continue to shine, and will we move down further? But let's take a look at the silver price. Last week we were talking about, and hopefully I can find it for you, we're talking about this particular downtrend line right here, and I was suggesting that that absolutely needed to hold as support. Now, we didn't come down to it completely. Let's take a look at the daily time frame. We got relatively close, but we bottomed out so far, I say so far, just in case, $21.88 roughly. I was talking about an area of around about $21.70, $21.60, but that was, it technically did fail, it did hold above. We didn't reach that level, but it certainly held above. So that's the first good sign. It's held above so far, and a quick move to the upside as well, back above and into this range of the $22.50 to $23.50 range. That's a range I am happy to be in to stay positive for silver in the next coming weeks and months. Definitely within that band. Breaking further down through here, then I start to talk about, maybe not so much, but back in here, and that was a quick move too, so a very quick wick down. You can see that wick right here down to that 21.80 level, a quick move back up. So that's the first good sign. The fact that it is outperforming gold as well, that's a good sign for me. Let's take a look at the relative strength index. That's another good sign for me. The fact that it looks like it has reversed, and on the daily time frame at least. And if you take a look at this particular trend line, I don't know about you, but I personally find trend lines on the relative strength index tend to be somewhat predictive as well. So it's good to see that we are above this downtrend line on the relative strength index on the daily time frame. And more importantly, let me get rid of that. Sorry. More importantly, let's take a look at the weekly time frame. Any other good signs? And for me, you can see we are back above, just back above this average right here. And also, if we take a look right here, let's try and get that in a bit better. See how far can we get that close enough. Right there, it looks like we've broken out as well this particular downtrend line on the weekly relative strength index. So, and actually, if you take a look right here, can you notice it? Tell me if you can notice it. Do you see that shoulder, head, and shoulder? So it looks like a potential inverse head and shoulders on the relative strength index as well. So could this be the move that propels it back up, and which would also propel silver back up as well? That's a good sign for me so far. So far so good for silver as well. Found a bottom so far. We do have some hurdles to get over. Obviously that 23.50 area, I need to see that break and hold, and as I've been talking about, this downtrend line right here has to break and hold above in the next few weeks, has to hold it on the weekly time frame at a bare minimum, preferably on the monthly time frame as well. And the next hurdles we've been talking about, again, if you're new to these technical analysis videos, the big line in the sand, or what the first line in the sand, the $26 level, the final hurdle, which I've even got written in here, is that 31.20. That's the absolute final level. Probably being overly cautious. You know, most people might say, you know, once we break 26 and then find it as support, then, you know, we're on on our way upwards, but just to be safe, 31.20 for me is the absolute final hurdle to say we are 100% in the bull market, no questions whatsoever. We're heading to all-time highs in the next months and years. I've got to see 31.20 hold on the monthly time frame, at least for me. Most people will use the 26, but I'm going to be overly cautious, just to be overly cautious, because I like to be. And we don't give financial advice here, and anything I say is not the advice of Ainslie as well. So good signs for silver. Those are the couple of mini hurdles to get over. Good to see it rising on the relative strength index on the weekly time frame. As well, breaking down further, you've got this level right here of the $20.70 mark. That's a key Fibonacci area, and I won't talk about lower just yet because we're looking good so far. Good signs for silver. That is silver. Let's take a look at platinum. It's been a few weeks, and $40 level, which I had drawn in for a little bit, for at least a couple of weeks since the last time we did platinum. That has been seen as a pretty much on the money support level right there. And so platinum's not in as good a position as gold and silver currently look, but we really need to see 840 hold. So far it has, and that's a good sign, but have a look at the weekly relative strength index. Looks like it's more continuing on its way down directionally. It has yet to break out of any particular downtrend line on the relative strength index, although it's just broken that one, but you can see it hasn't broken that one. So I would say, yeah, on balance of probability, more likely to keep heading down. But of course, bear in mind that rising tides raise all ships. So if gold and silver have big moves, you might see platinum move a bit higher, but maybe not as much in terms of its velocity, if that makes sense. So I'm going to say indeterminate. On the fence for platinum for now, but we're just not over key indicators for me to say we are going to break this area and then onwards and upwards from here. So really need to see that 840 US dollar mark hold, and that level of $750 is the big line in the sand for me, as I have mentioned previously right there. Have to hold 750, otherwise it's kind of no man's land down here, and who knows how low we can go. So far so good, but I'll stay 50-50 on platinum, much more bullish on silver and gold at the moment. Some good signs for there. The good signs aren't there yet for platinum, in my humble opinion. Now let's take a look at palladium. We've yet to look at palladium here on the channel. Just wanted to do a quick look, just because I was checking out the chart, and I find it interesting where we are on definitely on the weekly time frame in terms of the relative strength index. I just wanted to show you that right here. If you've yet to see the palladium chart before, this goes back to, well, 1997, this particular index. So you can see here, $1,000. This is in 2000, then a low of about $150, $145 in 2003. It's pretty choppy, you come up to 500 plus, back down to nearly that $150 level. Had its big peak just recently in March of 2022, and that's at around about 3,000, 33, 34, 3,500 US dollars. And since then, quite a large move back down from that high. We're talking about quite a large move, a 70% move back down. What I would get you to have a look at right here, the relative strength index on the weekly time frame. We'll take a quick look at the monthly as well, but we're in oversold or extremely oversold territory, and we've been in that. So the last time we were in extremely oversold territory on the weekly time frame for palladium is back here in, well, that is in 2015. The previous time there was extremely oversold in 2008, and back here a few times in the early 2000s as well. So a 70% move back down from its all-time high in its extremely oversold move. It's already hit there, and technically, look, we are not yet back into the normal range, so not yet back into there. So certainly could be, an absolute huge amount of room to move down, but just do bear in mind we're in oversold territory. We've been there now, and the last time we were there wasn't back until June of or August of 2015. So getting close to rough kind of areas of lows, quite potentially. Let's take a look at the monthly time frame. Okay, so on the monthly, you can see we're definitely at the bottom end of the overbought territory, but we have, at least based on this index, again going back to 1997, we've never gone into extremely oversold, never gone into that area. So that doesn't mean it never would. So there could be certainly a good number of months where you spend some time for the very first time on the monthly time frame in extremely oversold. So where could that take the price? Probably, you know, even potentially much lower than here. Let's take a look at a couple of particular support levels. I mean, you can very clearly see this around this kind of level here of that $850 mark is pretty obvious, and I think the next one I might actually draw that in as a range. Let's go, I'll do that on a rectangle, and you can see it from around about the $590 to $600 mark to about the $460 mark. So this range here, this purple box of between, let's call it $600 to $450. Okay, so about $150 range. So if we go into extremely oversold territory on Palladium, which just because it hasn't before, as I said, doesn't mean it will never. So it could potentially, yeah, look, you might see a bounce here, but doesn't mean it can't go into that area. This area would be probably the absolute bottom for me. So I'm not saying it's going there, and I'm also not saying it's going to bounce from here. I just wanted to take a quick look at Palladium because I just found this little chart interesting when I was checking it out earlier today. So that is Palladium. We've done platinum, and we've also shown you the quick good signs, interim good signs for gold and silver. Speaking of silver, we just recently released the 1 ounce version of the Ainslie 1 ounce minted silver round. We did a ½ ounce round. It's proved very, very popular. And then a few months later, we've produced the 1 ounce, and I'll put a link below to that in the info section of the YouTube page and as part of the pinned comment to the specific page on the Ainslie website. Of course, browse our wide range of other gold, silver, and platinum at incredibly competitive prices, and leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about this particular analysis. Are there other tools that you like to use that you find predictive as well, not just support and resistance, relative strength index, etc.? What do you like to use? And are there other things that you would like me to look at, specifically crypto? We do sometimes do crypto as well. Is there anything you'd like me to look at? Pop a comment below, and hopefully I can do that for you. That has been your weekly precious metals analysis. Balance your wealth in an unbalanced world. Take care. We'll see you next time.